Hi everyone, it's Mike Levin shooting another video. Tuesday, June 7th, 2016, around 8:20 a.m. And I had to come back because I forgot a couple of things that I'm bringing to work today, amongst which is the CuBox, tiny little computer, quad core ARM. Can you say that, or is that trademarked, all that quad core stuff? Anyway, it's got 4 processors. It's kind of like a more powerful Raspberry Pi, although even that you got to question these days now that the Pi 3 has gone to 4 cores as well. So basically it's one of those really low power, really inexpensive, no reason to not use as a server, caliber, tiny computer. Sometimes I call them micro servers. And right now I'm running a task on a laptop, my main work laptop, which in order to actually install everything and get all the dependencies right, instead of doing it on Windows, I did it on Ubuntu originally. And then I ran out of disk space and didn't know how to grow the size of it. So I decided to switch to Kubuntu, give it much larger virtual hard drive space, and get familiar with KDE for the first time. So I am now a KDE Plasma 5 desktop user, but I can't leave it running like that all the time. I can't have a scheduled job. Now, background to this, I am handing this job over to the tech department, who really has responsibility for running scheduled jobs like this that hit, amongst other things, the company's business system to do some queries. Maybe not its business system per se, but a system we've got running there, part of its enterprise software. And so they're taking that over for me. But until the transition is complete, I want these things to run flawlessly every morning. And so I will be moving it off of my VirtualBox Kubuntu system on my laptop onto the CuBox quad-core processor. I forget exactly the model number, but it's a step up from the slowest, I believe, that they had. So it's a nice little box for doing these sorts of things. Maybe not with the raw horsepower of a Intel-based processor, but still with plenty of power to run one of these things on a reliable daily basis and get the job done, which at the end of the day is what's important, because you're not personally working on the machine. So what do you care how truly powerful it might be by, those traditional, how fast is it standards? Who cares if you're not actually interacting with it beyond pushing updated scripts out to it or logging into it, in which case you would really probably only be using the Vim text editor to edit on it, because it's headless. There won't be a desktop to log into, although there very well could. This thing is capable of that kind of graphics, and these are one of those types of decisions that people have to make when they're using this new generation of tiny little hardware as servers, whether they want to set it up as a desktop machine, in which case you could probably use things like VNC, one of the many pieces of client software to log into this server's desktop through VNC from whatever platform you're on, including phones. So there's really no problem with accessibility, even if you go the desktop route. It just, to a lot of people, seems silly when all you need is an SSH connection, and barely even at that. If you were in the physical presence of the machine, you could plug in through a serial port and directly control it. Then when you unplug it, the box is hack-proof, especially, say, if it's not on the internet. So there's lots of reasons to run these things headlessly. A certain old-school aesthetic, plus a more modern efficiency. Let's keep the box as small and few parts and as little metal as possible. Because say, for example, when 3D printing of circuits is possible at home with some you know, future version of, you know, a 3D printer that's also a fab production plant, you're going to want to keep it down to the bare metal you need to run your apps. Just preserve materials, make it smaller, lower power consumption. So there will always be a place for computers that you can only connect to through a serial connection or a terminal program, which is really just emulating one with some security and TCP/IP layers. So anyway, I'm setting it up obviously the later way, headlessly, and I'll be logging into it from my laptop, editing things through Vim, and keeping that script healthy and running until the tech department takes it over. That's my second video for this morning. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.